So this tweet was put out today by Matthew with 2 images attached to the tweet. The tweet itself said, "I have made the decision based on my evidence-based belief. There is no room for division based on misinformation in our society." And to that tweet was attached these 2 images with these two paragraphs on them. "As the National Māori News Service provider, I feel that we must take a stand. That said, I would be happy to debate the issue with Don Brash on Waatea, having read the statement issued by Hobson's Pledge. Here at Waatea, we deal in facts, we deal in evidence. It's a shame that the Herald, only weeks before, published an impressive piece dealing with the whenua, only to have undone that by the latest descent into misinformation. I have today written to our contact at the Herald, informing them of my decision and to erase and desist publication of our content." You go on to say, "As the publisher of Waatea News, I have made the decision to end any or all informal or formal agreements with the New Zealand Herald. Having reviewed the material printed last week, I cannot and will not in good conscience accept that the Herald decided to accept an advertorial filled with misinformation, accepting a payment for what is essentially an advertisement sowing division between Māori and non-Māori." So to put it like in a plain layman's terms, you're in charge some level at Waatea News, have an agreement with NZME, specifically the Herald, I guess, to share news. Like we sometimes we'll be showing a story here that'll be on the RNZ website, and at the bottom it'll say originally on Waatea or originally on TVNZ, or so that. And you've said to them officially, we're not going to do that ever again. We refuse to use our business and use our information for this advertorial on the front page of the New Zealand Herald that reads, for the audio podcast, "Restore the foreshore and seabed to public ownership. Most Kiwis have no idea that almost New Zealand's entire coast is run under application before the courts to be awarded to iwi as customary marine titles. Sign the petition, www. I'm not going to mention their website, .fuckoff.bitch." So that's, we've all put it out there in place. So give us the juice.
So basically, I said, look, you guys have been paid to run an editorial. You should have used your editorial integrity, and you should have stopped that thing from happening. This is this whole iwi versus Kiwi thing again. Look, Hobson's Pledge and these organizations have run campaigns over many years now, and then they try and turn it around to us and say, oh, we're the ones sowing division. Actually, no, we're not. You're sowing the division by publishing and coming up with this nonsense. There is also no truth in what the editorial is saying. When you have a look at the Marine and Coastal Act, if you have a look at who the primary owners of land around the Mutu are on the coastal fringe, it's not Māori. It's not Māori at all. It's a lot of private landowners. And I would argue strongly that it's Māori who open our marae around the coasts in times of need and disaster, as we did in Cyclone Gabrielle, as we have with Cyclone Boulder and all the other, even the Kaikoura earthquake. I remember Norman Hughes down there at Ngā Mātā Waka and Christchurch opening the marae. So we do that. Now, it's not us that are restricting access to coastal areas. Actually, it's private landowners, and those private landowners are not Māori. So there are 2 problems that I have with what the New Zealand Herald did. Number one, that is not journalistic integrity. It was basically, oh, look, let me give you a cuddle. And by the way, as I cuddle you, hand me the check. Yeah. And it doesn't state anywhere on the publication that the New Zealand Herald specifically accepted money for the publication of what is a misinformation campaign again by Hobson's Pledge. Now, let's all be very clear here, Pat and Chewy. This is an organisation that has a specific issue with Māori interests and rights. They don't campaign against Chinese whānau in New Zealand. They certainly have said nothing when it comes to the push of the CCP and others into academia in New Zealand. They don't basically look at any other ethnic group except for Māori. So it's about time we called it out. And there was no way I was going to have Waatea as the national news service provider for Māori involved in anything that the New Zealand Herald may or may not do. And it looks like it's tipped the scales this evening, because I did get an alert from the New Zealand Herald indicating that they would not publish a second advertorial that was due out on Wednesday from Hobson's Pledge, having reviewed the situation. So I think that's a good call. So that's a little bit about the story behind what happened today. I basically had enough.